we should know what data science is, because sorry, and a brief introduction about myself. So Himani said as well, yeah, currently I'm working as a data science engineer, or you can say a senior data engineer at Intelligentsia, and I have a total experience of around 5.5 years, and I have also served for Convent for approximately around 2 years, and there I was working as a senior data engineer. And before that, I was in Wipro. So there I worked as a data analyst. So this is my profile. Yeah, and I have been into the corporate for about, I think, 5 years plus. And yeah, hopefully it's growing boomly. So we'll look into the data science. So what is data science? So data science encompasses preparing data for analysis and processing, performing advanced data analysis, and presenting the result to the reveal pattern, and enable stakeholders to draw informed conclusions. So students, I'll not go through with all these things. You can go through with it, and I can just explain what the data science is in my corporate terms, because you will get these slides or these information on every other site. So I'll just go through that, what in corporate, what that data science is. So as data science comprises of different stages in the processing of the data, because we are going to give the insight to our stakeholders, clients, or whatever the customer is. So we are just providing them the insight by looking into their previous record or previous data which they have in a company, suppose sales, health and welfare, whatever the data is. So we look into the data, we take the raw data from client, and we process the data, we look into the data, what needs to be cleansed, or does it require cleansing, or aggregating or manipulating, whatever it takes. So we just manipulate those data, and going further, we uh, we analyze it, and we mold those data into our systems or our modeling types, where we can just provide the insight from our modeling perspective, that what the data says. We have to provide them the meaning of those data, that what will be the future, that could be the future of the company, which decide the future of the company, or how the sales goes, or the how the sales are doing in the past, and in the present, or how it will go in the future perspective as well. So this is the data science. So there are some data science roles combining to forego a data science project. So it comprises, for the whole data science is a big picture. So there are a lot of people required to go through with a project. So there are mostly 10 data science roles. These are the maximum which I can find. These are the 10 which I know that maximum can go. But in a project, it requires 5 to 6 data science roles. So I'll tell you what each role is, and what are these roles. So number one is data scientist. As you all know that it's a very charming, or it's a very attractive role. We can say that data science, because scientist is there, so everyone thinks of that data science is something related to rocket science, but no. These data scientists are, we as a data science, we work on only data which are processed by different roles, and we look into the data, that how we can mold it into and modeling, and through that modeling, how we can provide the insight into the percentage, that what are these percentage means how much the percentage of the growth we are looking into your company, by seeing your past data, also applying some current market business, current scenarios. There are different factors which we look into this, and we provide them the insight with a percentage, that this project or this model is 68% or 72% is correct, and this will be the percentage of your of your company to be growing. So these means above 65%, if your model is performing above 65%. So for that, for data scientists, it's a boom that you have hit the bullseye. So above 65%, if a model is giving, then we go through it, and we provide those models to our client, and we just give them the insight about the data. So this is the role of data scientist and data analyst. Some of the companies hire data analysts and provide them the name of data scientist, but they used to work on the visualization and preparation of raw data. So analyst is basically a IT professional who works on the raw data. It manipulates the data, it cleans the data. If there is something null values are coming, so it looks into that, and into the requirement as well, which we get from our client. So on that basis, they provide us the pre-processed data. So then the pre-processed data has been are transferred to data engineers. So these data engineers are someone who look into the data and prepare the processed data using the pre-processed data. So these are the different you can say roles required in the IT industry for the whole data science project. And the fourth one is data architect. So data architect is somewhat senior of data engineer, or a senior of a senior data engineer, you can say. So the role of data architect is same, but they are also responsible for the databases which are uh, which are on the cloud, AWS, or different technologies. You have already know that right now the data science is very much collaborative with the cloud computing as well. So here comes the Amazon AWS, where AWS provide a large collection of you can say features, or they are they are more about you can say features, classification, different thing they provide to sort out the data in AWS as well. So that's that's what data architecture look into. And data storyteller is somewhat you can say it's a new role introduced into data science, and maybe most of us is not aware of that. But these are those professionals which get the requirement from the client, customer, or stakeholders, and they write it into the words, or they provide the insight that what a dream of client from that data he's providing or she's providing. So storyteller somewhat prepares the BRDs, business requirement document, to the data analyst part, so they can refer to it. So these are the data storytellers. We can also say data storytellers are those somewhat business analysts. So they provide the BRDs and FRDs, functional requirement document, and business requirement documents. And here comes the machine learning scientists. So these are the major personnels, or we can't say them as a professionals. These are the scientists, actual scientists. So they work on the R&D part, research and development part, for each and every what you say new algorithm introduced, or new clustering introduced into the data science, how we can optimize more algorithms. So these are the basic you can say people working on the data science algorithms. And they are basically mathematicians, or you can say static the statisticians or mathematicians. They work majorly on the algorithm part to make it optimize or find a new you can say algorithm for processing the data. So here the next one is seventh one is machine learning engineers. So machine learning engineers are those uh, these are also R&D developers. They are not scientists. So whenever machine learning scientist develops something new algorithm, they provide those document or those you can say formulas to data learning engineers. So they work on the development part for the new algorithm. So these are machine learning engineers. And next comes as business intelligence development developer. So business intelligence is something that works on visualization of the data, or making the data more intelligent by providing them the if we have a column where we have 1,000 rows, okay, 1,000 records in a particular column, but in that 1,000 we only have the data for 5 columns. So means 95 of them are blank, null. So what here comes the business intelligence team. So they work on those columns which have the most number of null values, or you can say incorrect values or something like that. And they perform some what you say process, or some of the tools they have to look into the data, and they provide the data intelligence that this column can be calculated from other column. So they, on that particular column, they provide the data about that blank column. So these are the rules for business intelligence developer. And next is DBA. We all know that DBAs are the most important phase for each and every project, because they are the only ones who work on the database part. So if we don't have any database, we can't do anything. Means you can't do development, you can't do you can't do any data analysis or pre-processing or anything, whatever it is. So these are the database administrator. When we are facing any issues related to connectivity to databases, or we are not able to modify, fetch, or whatever we are doing on a database and we are not able to, so these are the persons to reach out to. So this is database administrator. And the next is technology specialist role. So nowadays we looked into the uh, trend it is going on, that are new different technologies are being introduced into the market related to data science, like NLP, neural networks. So these are the persons which are expertized or specialized in a particular scale, or in a particular you can say environment, like NLP. So they only work on the NLP part, and they look into the how they can optimize it, or how they can boost their information, or maintain their processes. So these are the technology specialist roles. So we are noticing that as the technology is going on, we are looking into the specialization parts as well. So this is it. And yeah, I work as a data engineer part, but as I am a senior data engineer, and so I have to look into both the data scientist part. So data scientist is somewhat a person who knows each and everything from start to the end. Okay, that then only he can create a model on the basis of the data. Whenever he also looks into the BRDs, he also looks into the cleansed data, the manipulative data, what are the changes we have done. So these are things which data scientists look. And data scientist is somewhat become in a experience basis. You cannot be hired just as a data scientist. This can't be, because data scientist is somewhat can be achieved by having some experiences in data science role. Okay, so moving on to the uh, next slide. I have taken much of the time in this. So data engineer role. A data engineer is a IT whose primary job is to prepare data for analytics or operation uses. So he's also responsible for analytics and operation, but also uh, perform a particular role which is very crucial between an data analyst and a data scientist, because a analyst provide the pre-processed data that cannot be used directly by the data scientist for developing a model. So here comes the data engineer part. There we they work on the Python as well for the scripting part. They also work on the different Python libraries for for their development as well. If they look into that pandas is not capable of some doing something, so they tweak the pandas library. So it is possible, we can do it uh, on a our company basis. So pandas is a library which is open for all, but we can tweak those libraries according to our requirement, or whatever the requirement is of we have from the client. So we also work on the preparation of the data pipelines. So these are the pipelines where the end product is a processed data which is directly used by the data scientist for their sampling or clustering or whatever they want to. So this is it for a data engineer role. And yeah, there are three categories of data engineer. So these are generalist. Number one is generalist, like I am working as a data engineer generalist, where I have to work for data scientist role as well, somewhat, and somewhat I have to work for a data engineer part as well. Somewhat I have to work on the development part. Some of the times I have to work on the QA part as well. So these are the data generalists which work basically on all fields, and a data scientist looking to become a data engineer would fit well into this generalist role. So these are the first ones, and the second ones are which are focusing directly on the pipeline centric part. So these pipeline centric means we have the pre-processed data. We work on those pre-processed data. We provide them as the function, provide some functions, data cleansing, and like renaming of the fields, or you can say renaming, or transforming some of the data into some of other provided data. So they work on the basically the pipeline part, CI/CD pipeline. You must have come into that terminology, CI/CD. So they work basically on the pipelines. And the third one is database centric engineers. So these database centric engineers, they work basically on the ETL part, explore, transform, and load methodology. So they work basically on extracting the information from the client directly, and then work on the transform part, and then work on the loading part from that raw data to the pre-process, and then pre-process to process data into a particular format which is required by the data scientist. So they are the database centric engineers. So there are three type of roles. And moving on to data engineer skill set. So for data engineer skill set, there are few things which you need to know. If you are going into a entry level, then you are required to have a Python. Python is a must. See, core Python is a must. You also know about the pandas library and NumPy. So these two libraries are very important to have if you are looking for a job role related to data science. So Python, and some of the people go for R as well, but most of what 98% of the R is computed into the Python, and they are also enhanced in Python as well. So nowadays, most of the companies are looking into Python or SAS. SAS is that programming language which is very secure, and so banking sector is using that SAS programming language, and Python is somewhat open to all. So banking system and financial institutions, they are not very confident about using Python, but Python is also secured, but they are not sure about the Python. So accordingly, if you want a job in American Express, or different banking sector, Barclays, or somewhat Barclays, or different other banks, So you must know SAS. That's the basic requirement for them if you are looking into the data science. And the next one is SQL. If you are going any, if you are using any of the Python or R or SAS, Scala, anything, but SQL is very important. You have to understand how you can fetch the data from that particular cloud or SQL server or where the data is. You know how to fetch those data. So SQL is very important in any of the data science role. You It is used in analyst part as well, data engineering part as well, and data scientist part as well. So SQL is the, you can say, core for it. So yes, if you are very excel in Python and SQL, make sure I know that you can excel in that any of the data science part. So the next is ETL and REST API. So these you can get into the exposure of these when you get into corporate. So and no SQL as well. Some nowadays there is a change in the SQL part where we are just typing the programming, and we are not using the SQL commands which we are using. So no SQL is important, but when you will get into that corporate life, then you are required to have the skills on handset on NoSQL, no SQL. So these are the things. MySQL and Postgres are good. Means if you know MySQL, you can code any on the vertical like Postgres or what a Hive or different SQLs. And the business intelligence platform and the ability to configure them and are another focus for data engineers. So business intelligence is somewhat visualization of data, because they've also work on providing the visualization for the stakeholders about the process data, that this is the process data and how it looks. So it is means if you have the data for about 1500 columns, so it would be very hectic for you to look into that without having the knowledge about each and every data set. So that's why we are very ingenuous to have that visualization tool where we can visualize the data, whatever the amount of data is, you can visualize it. And a person which have no experience in that, he also can understand the merge of the data. So this is it for the BI tools. And lastly, yeah, the main thing is we do not use Windows, because there are different OEs or there are different you can say, we do not have total control over the system when we are using Windows. So we usually use Unix. So currently I'm using Ubuntu, Linux, Solaris. So these are the Unix which are very important for us to know about these. So you can have the basic tinge, or you can download it for and bisect your data into two. You one hand you can use Microsoft as well, Windows as well, and the other side you can use Linux, or to have a just what Linux can do. Okay, so this is very important. You should have the knowledge about the Linux and Unix. So future growth for in data engineering role, as you all know that in 2010, uh, I think in 2010 there was no such thing like data engineer, data science, or data anything about the data. The companies work on their household engineering tool where they look into the data. But as the company is growing, the amount of data each day is growing exponentially. Means if I am generating 2 terabyte of data today, maybe tomorrow I can generate 4 or 6 terabyte of data tomorrow. So yeah, there are different you can say, there are different future growths like universality, where the data tools and warehouse solution will become more affordable and easier to use in the future. So there is a growth for data engineer role. Means if you look in uh, like last year, in 2019 to now 2020, the data engineering role grows about 40 to 42% last year, in the middle of the pandemic I am talking about. So in that particular time, we have the growth in 42% of data to 42% of the data engineers are more. uh, we have more data engineers in. So I'm looking forward for this year's data. I think it would be crossing around 70 plus percentage, because each company is looking into the data engineer role, because data engineer is someone who can do work of data analyst as well, and sometimes the work of data scientist as well. So why the company look into data analyst role if a person who can do data engineering role and data analyst role with a single person, he can find out the data. So what's the need of two different personnel when you can have one? So that's why also data engineering role never going to diminish in the near future. And the organization every day, the whole world generates quintillions of data. So like I was saying, like each every day we are growing exponentially. So you can look into the data for last year to next year, it will be uh, much. So these are the things, and the acceleration which we are looking into, like each and every day we require more and more hands, more hands to look into the data for each and every group company. So there are different new organizations are growing up, who can work on the different companies data. So there are very much boom in the entrepreneur section as well. So this is it. And the most valuable part is expected salary, what you can expect. So for a fresher, as an entry level, you can look into around 4 to 6 for entry level. Okay. And you can grasp the data, look into the data, how the process is going on, what they are working, how I can contribute. And then only you can come up that no, what your skills are. Maybe you are excellent in you will be excellent in Excel, SQL, or Python, because all the three are very important tools for data science. So you can excel accordingly. And I have just put it 0 to 3 just for I'm not sure, but in 1 or 2 years you will be reaching about 10 lakhs per annum. So this is, so the median salary is 12.3, as you assume a senior position with 3.6 years. So these are the lump sum. These are not correctly, and I'll not say that these are the exact points, but it also works on the how efficient you are, how flawless you are. Because if you are getting flaws for your day by day work, you will not get be praised, and at the time of appraisals you will be looking down. So it's up to us how we are performing in the organization, and how much reliable you are for a company. Means if company is looking into you and you are a reliable source, so these are just the numbers, you can get more of it, because each and every company is looking into the data science, because the data science role is very uh, there is a scarcity in the market for data scientist role, data science role, different data science roles. So whatever, if you excel, you can touch those numbers exponentially as well, not double or triple, but exponentially as well. So this is the expected salary part. And yeah, next one is, yeah, how to become data engineer. So first, earn a bachelor's degree in computer science or programming. So I am just particularly talking about the data engineer part, not data analyst part, not data scientist part, not different whatever I have told, different roles. I'm just particular about the data engineer part. So first you have to earn a bachelor degree and computer science or programming. Means you, if you are in EC, if you are in mechanical, this is the beauty of this role, that anyone can become a data engineer if you are having a interest in programming. If you have interest in data, you can become a data engineer, data scientist, or a data analyst, whatever you want you can become, if you have the passion about the data. Okay, so these programmings are the tool only. These programming, SQL, these are only the tools you have to learn it, but the passion is way bigger. Okay, so if data is your passion and you are confident that you can have those data and you can get the insight from that, so you can learn these easily. Okay, and the next thing is big data skills. Employers in the field are looking for the data. Means you have the little knowledge about the big data skills as well, like programming or softwares or uh, SQL. So these are the things which you have to look into, because as whenever I am going for an interview, I look for a fresher that he should know a little about the Python, a much more about the SQL, because SQL is somewhat we generally learn about these in colleges. Okay, we generally work on each and every database connection with the programming, or database connection with the local host. So we are working on those. So I look more into the SQL part, and also somewhat touch on the Excel skills as well. I know, though some of you might say that why Excel, but if Excel is not there in the in the IT sector, or in any of the corporate life, if Excel is not there, 40% of the data cannot, 40% of the work cannot be done. I may be wrong, but what I have observed, so this is it. Excel is, uh, you can say, core for engineering part, or not core for engineering. It's a core for data part. Okay, so obtain an entry level job, you and gain experience, whatever what I have told you before. So this is it. And if you have done a bachelor's and looking to excel your knowledge, enhance your knowledge, or you want some degrees to be held on, so there are different universities which are providing the certifications, post graduations. So you can do it, and you can then apply for a job. Then there is a chance that you will get a bit good job than a bachelor's. So this is it. But I'm this these are not the accurate data. So uh, sometimes a BTech person can give those answers which I was not expecting, and they amuse me so much that an MBA cannot do. So it's up to the skills and personality of a person. So these are the things, how to become data engineer. So this is a picture I have looked into, that the base of this is Unix commands or shell scripting, whatever you say. You should know about the Linux, Unix, or any of the OS, whatever you want. You can choose Ubuntu. Ubuntu is very sophisticated. I would say Ubuntu is very compact, optimized, and a very user friendly as compared to Unix or Linux or any of the shells. So Ubuntu is much more easier so to work upon. So you can have that Ubuntu and have a experience on the go. And the next is SQL basic and advanced. You should know the SQL joins, merge, different type of functions, sum, average. These are the basic ones, but some of the advanced one as well. So this is also required. And the third is Python programming. So as a fresher, if I uh, look into the candidate, so I first look into that. Uh, what what is his attitude towards the work? Is he excited, or he is taking a burden from him? So this is the major part. Whenever you are entering into the interview, just show them that you are enthusiastic about the data. So these are the things, these are the three basic things. And then about your knowledge, if you have some different certificates, that would be a add on to your profile. And then the expertise, if you have expertise is any of the tools, and in any of the, or you have created a some tremendously insightful project, then you will definitely be get selected. Not copying from each and everything, each other's project, but that should be yours. And on a particular life, uh, what you say, life problem you are solving, then definitely you will get a job, and with the higher expectation than you you will get that job. Okay, and the next thing is interviews. So how you perform in the interviews, you'll get the job in data engineering. So next is certificate. There are different certifications for data engineering. I'm not just proposing you to do that, but if you are interested and you want to be a data engineer, certified data engineer, then you can go through with these Cloudera certificate profession CCP, and uh, Google Cloud certificate certified. That I think for data engineer, Google's examination price is about 150 or $120. So I'm not sure about that, but Google Cloud certificate you can have it. So it's a add-on for you. And the others as well, certificate in engineering excellence, big data analysis. So these are the things which you can work when you get into the IT as well. So this is not a, but I would say that you should go for GCP, or GCP you can go for, or you can go for Azure as well. So these are basically for freshers to get into the data science role. So these are the add-ons for your career. And the next is how to switch career to data engineering. So as I earlier said, if you have the passion in data, okay, and you don't have any skills for programming or SQL, or then also you can get into the data science role, because you can learn those skills, programming skills or tool skills, or you can understand about the tool in 2 or 3 months. But the passion of the data you cannot learn. You should be having into your, so these are the things. So for, let's discuss the tools and skills you need to switch your career to data engineering. Polish your maths. So we usually use probability. We generally use probability for if we are providing the insight for the future to the part to the client, then we should know about the probabilities. So some of the Bayesian laws, or different laws, Gaussian laws. So there are different laws which you have studied in, I think, maths 1 or maths 2 in your engineering, or I think MCA as well. You go through with the maths. So in those courses, you have that probability part. So you should polish that maths and programming skills as well. Develop problem solving skills. Yeah, if I am as a interviewer, I also look into how a program, if I am giving a problem to a interviewee, then I also look into the how he approaches or she approaches towards solving the problem. He cannot solve that problem, that's okay if he can't, but I also look into how the problem is solved, how he approached the problem. So it is also a good skill to have. So take and then take up collaborative projects. So prepare your project in data engineering if you are into a entry level. So discover your dream data engineering role. You, whatever the role is yours, like data scientist, data analyst, data engineer, or whatever the data whatever the data science role you are looking for, just be passionate. And network is the key, so have your network seniors, your elder brother, sister who are working in corporate, so have those networking in between. Because i I do not have someone in my family to get guided from. So whatever I have done, it's basically with my friends or with my school seniors. I get the right path. I was not having anyone to guide me through what needs to be done in BTech or whatever it is. So you are very privileged, I would say, that you are getting a chance to have these this platform like Mentorkart, because in our times we were not having anything. So it's a you can say it's a good thing for having a technology acceleration in our life. So yeah. And the next part is good social and communication skills. You should have the skills to talk, and because you are responsible for communicating your findings or whatever the work you have done to the scrum masters or lead engineers or data scientists, or even sometimes with the stakeholders as well. So you should have good communication skills. And observation skills means whatever you observe, because while tackling a data you should also have a observing skills as well. Whatever data you are looking into, just observe that why these datas or these values are calculated, or on which basis these are calculated. So these are the different conscious and clarity. You should have the clarity about the what you are working on, for what is the process of yours, why you are working. If you get any, if you get any project or any role, and you your manager asked you to work on this particular piece, then you should be knowing from where you got that piece to work on, what's the big picture about it, where it is using. So these clarity should be there. Then your I think your task will be much easier, way much easier to work upon. So these are the things which you should have. And that's, thank you.